Hi, I'm Wendy Gardner. These bias tape makers are really simple to use because they have an easy grip handle. They come in different sizes, and you can see here 6mm, 1/4 inch, 12mm, 1/2 inch, or 25mm, which is 1 inch. And that measurement is the finished width once the side edges have been turned in. The first thing to do is to cut bias strips. So to find the bias of your fabric, you can see there's no give here. That's the straight edge. So if this is the cut edge and this is your selvage, you fold the cut edge towards the selvage so that they're parallel. And that diagonal fold there is the bias, and you can see how it stretches. And bias binding needs to be stretchy so that it can go round corners and things. So this measurement here, the 6mm one, means that you cut a strip of 12mm, so twice the width it says on there. Although having said that, with this particular one, when it's a very narrow strip, sometimes it's actually better to cut it very slightly wider, makes it easier to pull through. So for this one, I would cut a strip more like 3/4 of an inch. But I'm getting ahead of myself because the first thing I want to do is to show you how to join bias strips. Having cut them, if you need to join, you place them at right angles, right sides together, and you stitch from the top right down to the bottom left. And then trim off that excess. And you can press that seam open. I'm just going to open it. And that strip is now ready to go through your bias tape maker. I'm going to start with the widest one so I can work with this strip I've just cut. So this is the top of the bias maker, and this is the narrow end where the folded bias tape will come through. So to start with, I'm going to flip it over and insert my strip into the tape maker. As you can see, there's a little slot here, so if needed you can use a pin to just help pull it through. And once it's coming through, turn it back over again, just get it ready, and then pin it to the ironing board, pin the end to the ironing board, and then with the hot iron ready, you can pull away on the lovely blue plastic flower and press as it comes out. So just press it all in place. So those outer edges are being folded in, just going over the join there. And keep on going, and you can go for the whole length, or if you're doing a very long piece, of course, move it along the board, pin again, and off you go for the rest. As you pull it out smoothly, you can use the iron to press the folds in place. So there's the finished folded bias strip. If I turn it over, you can see the long edges have been turned to the inside, and that's ready to attach to a garment when it will then be folded again in half. So this is the 12mm one, and handily you'll see that there is a number on it, so you don't have to necessarily keep the packaging with it. Just poking that through with the pin, turn it over, pin that to the board, so it's ready for me to press in place as I pull it away. So quick and easy. So you use bias binding on a lot of home craft projects where you want to bind the edges, things like quilts or table mats. So this is the very narrow one, and this one you would use if you were doing stained glass patchwork and quilting, where you might lie this on the top of a seam to cover the raw edges. So again, I'm pinning the first little bit onto the ironing board, and then as I pull it away, you can see I can press the folds in place. Now this is a really, really fine, neat little one. And it's often stitched to the surface of a project for the stained glass effect. And you can stitch it in place down both long edges or with a twin needle so that both long edges are stitched at the same time. So that's when I've used a 3/4 inch wide strip, And this one I did with the 1/2 inch wide strip, so you can see how delicate and narrow they are. So I said you can use bias binding on home furnishings and craft projects, but you can also use it on clothes, such as around a neckline, or on this, which is the walkaway dress, it's all the way around the edges. Now you can use your own fashion fabric to create your own stunning bindings.